The envelope sat on the mahogany table between us. White, heavy stock paper. My name written in black ink across the front. Cheryl Annette Benson. Attorney James Whitmore cleared his throat for the third time in 5 minutes. He'd been my late husband's attorney for 30 years, back when Gregory first started the tech company in our garage. Back when we ate ramen 3 nights a week so we could afford server hosting. Before we continue, comment where you're watching from. And subscribe to the channel. We'd love to see how far our stories are reaching. Sienna sat across from me, legs crossed, one expensive heel dangling from her foot. 29 years old. Blonde highlights that cost more than my monthly grocery bill. She'd been married to my son for 3 years before the car accident took him. She smiled at me. Not the kind smile you'd expect at a funeral, the other kind. Mrs. Benson, Whitmore said. He pushed the envelope toward me. Gregory left specific instructions about how to distribute his assets. The bulk of the estate, approximately $196 million, goes to his widow, Sienna Vale. I'd expected that. Gregory had been besotted with her. Love makes men stupid sometimes, even smart men like my son. And for you, Whitmore continued, Gregory left a personal bequest. Sienna leaned forward. That smile widened. I opened the envelope. 5 $1 bills fell onto the table. Crisp. New. Like they'd come straight from the bank that morning. Behind them, a folded note on Gregory's personal stationery. For coffee, mother-in-law. You always said you didn't need much. Gee. The air left my lungs. The room tilted sideways for a second. 67 years old, and I'd never felt smaller. That can't be right. My voice came out steady. I was proud of that. There must be some mistake. No mistake, Sienna said. Her voice had that sugary quality, like artificial sweetener. Gregory and I discussed his wishes extensively before the accident. The accident. 3 months ago, Gregory's Tesla wrapped around an oak tree on Route 475, half a mile from their gated community. The police said he'd been driving 90 in a 45 zone. No alcohol, no drugs, just speed. Marcus cleared his throat from the corner of the room. My younger son, 38 years old, wearing a suit that looked new. Too new for a man who'd been between opportunities for the last 18 months. Mom, he said, maybe we should talk about this privately. There's nothing to discuss. Sienna uncrossed her legs and stood. She smoothed her black dress. Chanel. I recognized it from the funeral. Gregory was very clear about his intentions. The estate is settled. Wait. Whitmore shuffled papers. His hands shook slightly. There is one additional clause, which has no bearing on the primary distribution. Sienna's voice sharpened. She moved to the lawyer's side of the table, her hand resting on his shoulder. Isn't that correct, James? Whitmore went pale. He gathered the papers into a folder and snapped it shut. Yes, that's correct. The estate is settled as read. I looked at the 5 bills on the table. $5. From a fortune I'd helped build. I thought about the second mortgage we'd taken on our house 23 years ago, when Gregory's company almost went under. $47,000. We'd remortgaged the house Robert and I had paid off after 30 years of work. That money had kept the business alive long enough to land the contract with Patterson Industries. I thought about the 3 years I'd spent caring for Gregory after his diagnosis. Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, age 36. The doctor gave him a 30% chance. I'd driven him to every appointment, held his hand through every treatment, slept in a chair beside his hospital bed for 62 nights when the infection nearly killed him. Sienna hadn't known him then. She'd met him at a charity gala 2 years after his remission, when he was young and healthy and rich. Mom, Marcus touched my arm. Let's go. I picked up the 5 bills and folded them carefully, put them back in the envelope, stood. Cheryl, Sienna said. She was using my first name now. That was new. At the funeral, it had been Mother Benson, with that same sweet smile. I hope there are no hard feelings. Gregory wanted to make sure I was taken care of. You understand? I understood plenty. I understood that my son had married a woman who'd erased me from his will 3 months before he died. I understood that Marcus had come to the reading wearing a new suit and hadn't said a word in my defense. I understood that the lawyer who'd known my family for 3 decades had just lied about something in those papers. "I'm glad Gregory found someone who made him happy," I said. The words tasted like copper. That's all a mother wants. Sienna's smile didn't reach her eyes. It never did. Outside, the October air bit through my coat, the one I'd been wearing for 6 years, since Robert died and the insurance barely covered the funeral. Marcus walked beside me toward the parking lot. "I'll call you later," he said. "Sure." He drove away in a BMW I didn't recognize. New. Probably this year's model. I sat in my 2006 Camry and stared at the envelope on the passenger seat. $5 for coffee. I thought about the Christmas when Gregory was 12. We couldn't afford the computer he wanted, the one all his friends had. I'd taken a second job cleaning offices at night, 4 nights a week for 6 months. Minimum wage. My knees still ached when it rained. He'd gotten his computer. He'd built his first website that year. The foundation of everything that came after. The envelope crinkled when I picked it up. Inside, something felt off. Thicker than just the bills. I opened it again. Behind the money, pressed flat against the note, was a small key, silver, engraved with numbers, 4157. I turned it over. On the back, stamped in tiny letters, Toledo First National Bank. My hands stopped shaking. I started the car and pulled out of the parking lot. Behind me, through the rearview mirror, I saw Sienna standing at the window of Whitmore's office, watching. She was still smiling. The safety deposit box was empty except for a single manila folder. I sat in the tiny room at Toledo First National Bank, staring at the contents spread across the metal table. 3 documents, a USB drive, a handwritten letter on Gregory's stationery. "Mom, if you're reading this, something happened to me. Don't trust Sienna. Don't trust the will Whitmore read. The real documents are on this drive. Password, your wedding anniversary with Dad. 4 digits. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you in person. She watches everything. Watches everyone. You taught me to plan for contingencies. I learned from the best. Love, G." My hands shook. I read it 3 times. The letter was dated 4 months ago, 1 month before the accident. The USB drive felt heavy. I slipped it into my purse along with the documents and left the bank. Outside, the November wind cut through my coat. Gray clouds pressed down on the city. My phone rang. "Marcus. Mom, we need to talk." "I'm listening." "Not on the phone. Can I come by tonight?" I looked at the purse on my passenger seat. The USB drive hidden inside. 7 o'clock. I'll make coffee." "Mom," his voice dropped. "Don't do anything about the will. Not yet. Please." I hung up. At home, I plugged the USB into my laptop. Robert's and my anniversary, June 14th, 1979. I typed 0614. The drive opened. Inside, 2 folders. One labeled Original Will, March 2024. One labeled Evidence. I clicked the will first. I, Gregory Michael Benson, being of sound mind. To my mother, Cheryl Benson, I leave 60% of my estate, in recognition of her unwavering support and sacrifice. To my wife, Sienna Vale, I leave 20% of my estate. The remaining 20% to be held in trust for my future children. 60% of $196 million. That was $117,600,000. I sat back. The kitchen clock ticked. Outside, a dog barked. Gregory had left me everything. And then somehow, that had changed. I opened the evidence folder. Bank statements showing wire transfers. Emails between Sienna and someone named P. Marsh. Photos. Lots of photos. One showed Sienna with a man I didn't recognize. Dark hair, expensive suit. They were in a restaurant sitting close. His hand on her knee under the table. The timestamp said February 2024, 2 months before Gregory's new will, 9 months before his death. I clicked through more emails, financial projections, discussion of Gregory's company valuation, plans to expedite the transfer process. My stomach turned. At 6:30, I closed the laptop and hid the USB drive in the sugar canister. The blue ceramic one Robert had bought me in 1982. Nobody ever looked in the sugar. Marcus arrived at 7 exactly. He looked tired, older than 38. "Thanks for seeing me," he said. I poured coffee. Set out the cookies I'd bought yesterday. Store brand. They tasted like cardboard but cost 89 cents less than the good ones. He sat at the kitchen table, the same table where Gregory had done his homework, where we'd celebrated birthdays and holidays back when we were a family. "Sienna called me," Marcus said. "She's concerned you might try to contest the will." "Is that what she said? Concerned?" "Mom." He rubbed his face. "This is hard enough without what? Without me making trouble?" He was quiet. Outside, a car passed. The headlights swept across the kitchen wall. "She made me an offer," Marcus said finally. "If I help convince you to sign a waiver, she'll pay off my debts." "What debts?" $78,000. The words came out flat. "Credit cards mostly. Some personal loans. I made bad investments. The cryptocurrency thing didn't work out." I sipped my coffee. It had gone lukewarm. "And you said yes." I didn't say anything yet. He looked up. "I wanted to talk to you first." "That's big of you." "Mom, please." His voice cracked. "I'm drowning. Linda left me because of the debt. I'm living in a studio apartment. I can't afford to take the kids anywhere. Do you know what that feels like? Being the broke dad?" I thought about the second mortgage, about cleaning offices at night, about choosing between electricity and groceries some months. "Yes," I said. "I do." He looked away. "Gregory was going to help me," Marcus said. "We talked about it the week before he died. He said once the next funding round closed, he'd float me enough to get back on my feet. And then he died. And now Sienna has everything." Marcus's hands curled into fists. "Everything that should have been family money. Everything Greg built with your help. So you're helping her keep it." "I'm trying to survive." His voice rose. "Not all of us got to be the golden child, Mom. Not all of us had Gregory's talent or your attention. Some of us just got the leftovers." The words hung in the air between us. "Old resentment, old wounds." "Is that what you think?" I said quietly. "That I loved him more?" "I think you invested more in him. That's not the same thing, but the result was the same for me." I set down my coffee cup. "When you had pneumonia at 16, who sat with you for 3 days straight? When you wrecked Dad's car, who convinced him not to press charges? When you failed out of college the first time, who paid for you to try again?" "I know, Mom. I know you helped, but it was different with Greg. You believed in him. I believed in you too. You just never believed in yourself enough to see it." Marcus stood. He paced to the window and back. "Will you sign the waiver or not?" "No." "Mom." I said no. He pulled an envelope from his jacket, set it on the table. "Sienna thought you might say that. She asked me to give you this." I didn't touch it. "What is it?" "I don't know." She sealed it. He left without finishing his coffee. The cookies sat untouched on the plate. I waited until his car was gone before opening the envelope. Inside, 4 photographs, all of me. One showed me at the grocery store, reaching for generic brand cereal. One showed me at the library, using the public computer. One showed me in my backyard, hanging laundry on the line because the dryer had broken 3 months ago, and I couldn't afford to fix it. The last one showed me sitting alone in my kitchen, through the window, taken from outside, last week, based on the clothes I was wearing. No note, no message, just the photos. She'd been watching me. For how long? My phone buzzed. Text message from a number I didn't recognize. "The waiver is simple, Cheryl. Sign it and we all move on with our lives. Refuse and things get complicated. You have until Friday." Friday was 3 days away. I looked at the photos spread across the table. My small, careful life documented in 4 images. Proof that I was poor. Proof that I was alone. Proof that I was vulnerable. Sienna thought she'd scared me. Maybe she had, a little. But she'd also made a mistake. She'd shown me that she was worried. That whatever Gregory had left in that safety deposit box, whatever was on that USB drive, was important enough to threaten me over. Important enough to bribe my son. Important enough to hire someone to follow me. I gathered the photos and put them back in the envelope. Tomorrow I'd make copies. Tomorrow I'd find a lawyer, not Whitmore. Someone Sienna didn't own. Tonight, I sat at my kitchen table and thought about the woman in those photos. The woman buying generic cereal and hanging laundry. The woman who looked small and tired and easy to push around. That woman had raised 2 sons on a factory worker's salary, had put herself through night school, had survived cancer and bankruptcy and widowhood. That woman was stronger than Sienna Vale knew. I picked up my phone and texted back, "See you Friday." The eviction notice came on Thursday morning, 24 hours before Sienna's deadline. I stood on my porch holding the paper, legal jargon and county seals, 30 days to vacate the premises. Property ownership transferred to the estate of Gregory Michael Benson, subsequently transferred to Sienna Vale as primary beneficiary. The house wasn't mine anymore. I'd lived here for 42 years, bought it in 1982 with Robert when Marcus was 2 months old and I was pregnant with Gregory. 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a basement that flooded every spring. We'd painted every wall ourselves, planted the oak tree in the front yard, built the fence when the boys were learning to ride bikes. Robert died in the bedroom upstairs. Cancer. Slow and mean. The hospital bills took everything we'd saved. I'd remortgaged the house to pay them. Apparently, that mortgage had never been properly refinanced in my name after Robert's death. Some paperwork error, some legal technicality. The house had remained in both our names, and when I couldn't prove sole ownership, it reverted to estate property. Gregory's estate property. Sienna's property now. I called Marcus. Voicemail. I called again. Still voicemail. My lawyer, Patricia Chen, called back within an hour. I'd hired her on Tuesday. 53 years old, sharp eyes, office above a dry cleaner on Summit Street. She charged $200 an hour, which was $175 more than I could afford, but she'd agreed to work on contingency once she saw the USB drive. "Cheryl," she said, "I got the notice too. They sent a copy to my office. Can they do this? Can they just take my house?" Unfortunately, yes. The title documentation is messy. It'll take months to sort out, and in the meantime, they have legal standing to claim the property. I sat down on the porch steps. The morning was cold. Frost on the grass. My breath came out in clouds. Where am I supposed to go? Do you have family? Friends? I thought about Marcus and his studio apartment, about my sister Evelyn in Cincinnati, who'd stopped returning my calls after the funeral, about the neighbors I'd known for decades who'd sent casseroles and sympathy cards and then slowly disappeared. "I'll figure something out," I said. "Cheryl." Patricia's voice softened. "We're going to fight this. The evidence on that drive is solid. Gregory's signature on the original will, the emails, the financial records. We can prove fraud, but these things take time. How much time? 6 months minimum. Maybe a year. A year. Living where? On what money? My Social Security was $947 a month. Rent for a studio apartment in Toledo started at $700. "There's something else," Patricia said. "Sienna filed for a temporary restraining order yesterday. She's claiming you've been harassing her and making threats. That's insane. I haven't contacted her except through you." "I know, but she has a statement from Marcus corroborating her claim." The world tilted. I gripped the porch railing. "Marcus said I threatened her? According to the filing, you told him you'd make Sienna pay, and that you'd do whatever it takes to contest the will. His statement says he's concerned for his sister-in-law's safety. Sister-in-law, not his brother's widow. Sister-in-law, like they were family and I was the outsider. The hearing is tomorrow," Patricia continued. "We'll fight it, but Cheryl, I have to be honest. With Marcus's testimony and your financial situation, the judge might grant a temporary order pending investigation. What does that mean? It means you can't contact Sienna, can't go within 500 feet of her property, can't contact anyone in her immediate household. Her household includes my grandchildren." Patricia was quiet. "She's taking my grandchildren," I said. "That's what this is about. She's cutting me off completely. We'll request visitation rights as part of the appeal, but that takes time too." Time. Everything took time. Everything required money I didn't have, and lawyers I couldn't afford, and a system that moved like molasses while Sienna rearranged my entire life. "I'll see you tomorrow at the hearing," Patricia said. I hung up. sat on the cold steps, looked at the house I was losing. The oak tree we'd planted was 30 feet tall now. Robert had wanted a maple. I'd insisted on oak. Oaks last forever, I'd told him. They're strong. I'd been wrong about a lot of things. My phone buzzed. Text from a number I didn't recognize. Saw the eviction notice. Unfortunate. The waiver offer still stands. Sign by tomorrow, 5 p.m., and I'll rescind the property claim. You can stay in your home. Blood roared in my ears. She'd orchestrated this. The eviction, the restraining order, Marcus's betrayal. All pressure points, all calculated. I typed back, "Go to hell." Her response came immediately. "See you in court." Friday afternoon, I stood before Judge Raymond Kowalski in courtroom 3B of the Lucas County Courthouse. Sienna sat with her lawyer, a man in a $3,000 suit named Mitchell Carver. Marcus sat beside them. He wouldn't look at me. Judge Kowalski reviewed the restraining order petition, read Marcus's statement, asked if I had anything to say. "Your Honor," Patricia began. "My client categorically denies. I'm asking Mrs. Benson directly," the judge said. I stood. My legs felt unsteady. I never threatened anyone. I never contacted Mrs. Vale except through my attorney regarding the estate. My son is lying. Marcus flinched but still didn't look up. "Your son provided a sworn statement," Judge Kowalski said. "Are you calling him a perjurer?" "I'm saying he's been manipulated. Mrs. Vale offered to pay his debts in exchange for his cooperation." "That's a serious accusation," Carver said, standing. "Do you have proof?" I looked at Patricia. She shook her head slightly. Marcus's confession to me had been private. No recording, no witnesses, just a mother and son, and the truth between them. "No," I said. "No proof." Judge Kowalski granted the temporary restraining order. 30 days, subject to review. I was forbidden from contacting Sienna Vale or entering her property. That property included Gregory's house, where my grandchildren lived. "Your Honor," Patricia said. "Mrs. Benson has 2 grandchildren who reside with the petitioner. She requests supervised visitation rights, denied pending the review hearing," Kowalski said. "Given the allegations, contact with minors in the household is suspended." The gavel came down. I walked out of the courthouse into the November afternoon. The sky was gray. The air smelled like snow. Patricia touched my arm. "I'm sorry. We'll appeal. We'll fight this." "How? With what money? You're working on contingency for the will contest, but this? The restraining order? That's separate. That's billable hours I can't pay." She didn't answer. We both knew the truth. I was trapped. No home, no money, no access to my grandchildren. Exactly where Sienna wanted me. That night, I slept on my sister Evelyn's couch. I'd called her from the courthouse parking lot. She'd said yes, but her voice had been tight. "Just a few days, Cheryl, until you figure things out." Evelyn lived in a condo in Cincinnati, 2 hours south of Toledo. 2 hours away from everything I knew. Her husband Bill answered the door. He'd put on weight since I'd seen him last, Thanksgiving 2 years ago, back when I'd still been invited to family things. "Evie's at her book club," he said. "She'll be back around 9. He showed me the couch, brought me a pillow and blanket that smelled like mothballs, then disappeared into his study and closed the door. I lay in the dark and stared at the ceiling, thought about my grandchildren. Emma, 11, Tyler, 8, Gregory's kids, my blood. Emma had been born premature, 4 pounds, 6 ounces. I'd sat in the NICU for 3 weeks straight while Gregory paced and Sienna recovered from the emergency C-section. I'd been the first person to hold Emma besides her parents. She'd wrapped her tiny hand around my finger. Tyler looked like Robert. Same nose, same crooked smile. He collected rocks and wanted to be a paleontologist. Last Christmas, the last time I'd seen him, he'd shown me his rock collection. 47 specimens. He'd told me about each one. Now I couldn't call them, couldn't visit, couldn't be their grandmother anymore. My phone buzzed. Text from Patricia. "Found something on the USB. Call me tomorrow morning." I closed my eyes. Outside, a siren wailed in the distance. Inside, Bill's television murmured through the walls. I thought about the woman in Sienna's surveillance photos. The woman buying cheap cereal and hanging laundry. That woman had looked defeated, but defeated wasn't the same as destroyed. At midnight, I got up and went to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, looked at myself in the mirror, 67 years old, gray hair I couldn't afford to dye anymore, lines around my eyes and mouth, hands rough from 40 years of work. I looked like my mother. She'd raised 4 kids on a waitress salary after my father left. She'd worked until she was 72. Died 3 months after retirement. Emphysema from decades of secondhand smoke in the restaurant. She'd never complained, never quit, never stopped fighting for her kids. I was her daughter. I dried my face and went back to the couch. Tomorrow I'd call Patricia. Tomorrow I'd find out what she'd discovered. Tomorrow I'd figure out where to live and how to survive. Tonight, I'd remember who I was. Not the woman in Sienna's photos. My mother's daughter. Patricia Chen's office smelled like coffee and old paper. Saturday morning, 9 o'clock. The dry cleaner below was closed. The building was quiet except for the hum of the space heater in the corner. She spread documents across her desk. The original will from March 2024. Bank statements, email printouts, a legal pad covered in her handwriting. I spent all night going through the USB files, she said. Dark circles under her eyes proved it. Gregory was meticulous. He documented everything. I sat across from her, my overnight bag still in Evelyn's car downstairs. My sister had dropped me off without coming up, said she had errands, said she'd pick me up in 2 hours. What did you find? I asked. Patricia pulled out a document, 5 pages, stapled. This is Gregory's original will, executed on March 15th, 2024, witnessed by his accountant and his business partner. Completely legal, completely binding. The one that leaves me 60%. Yes, but there's more. She flipped to page 4, pointed to a paragraph near the bottom. There's a conditional clause. I missed it the first time because of the legal language, but once I understood what Gregory was doing, she trailed off, shook her head. What does it say? It says that if you are subjected to material disrespect, financial manipulation, or deliberate isolation by the secondary beneficiary, that's Sienna, then the distribution changes immediately. 60% becomes 80%, and it specifies that any property seized from you reverts automatically. My mouth went dry. Gregory knew. He knew she'd do this. He suspected. Look at the date. March 15th. According to the emails on the USB, that's 3 days after he found out about Sienna's affair with Philip Marsh, the man in the restaurant photos. Yes, Marsh is a business consultant, specializes in hostile takeovers and asset liquidation. Gregory hired him in January 2024 to evaluate expansion opportunities. By February, Marsh and Sienna were involved. By March, Gregory had evidence they were planning to remove him from his own company. Patricia pulled out more emails. I read them slowly. Sienna to Marsh. Gregory won't sell. We need another approach. Marsh to Sienna. Life insurance policies are substantial. Have you updated the beneficiaries? Sienna to Marsh. Done. His mother is the only problem. She'll contest everything. The room tilted. I gripped the edge of the desk. They killed him, I whispered. They murdered my son. I can't prove that. The police investigation ruled it an accident. No evidence of tampering with the vehicle, no witnesses, but the timing is suspicious. And these emails show clear intent to defraud the estate. So what do we do? Patricia leaned back in her chair. We have 2 options. Option 1, we go public immediately. File a criminal complaint, petition to overturn the fraudulent will, expose everything. It's the right thing to do legally and morally. But it'll take years. Criminal investigations move slowly. Sienna has resources to fight back. Meanwhile, you're homeless and barred from seeing your grandchildren. By the time we win, if we win, Emma and Tyler will be teenagers who've spent years thinking you abandoned them. My chest tightened. Emma would be 13. Tyler would be 10. Formative years. Years when Sienna could poison them against me. What's option 2? We stay quiet. We document everything. We let Sienna think she's won, and we wait for her to violate the conditional clause publicly and provably. Once she does, we trigger the clause and the entire distribution flips. 80% to you. The house reverts. Everything. How do we make her violate it publicly? Patricia smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. We give her exactly what she wants. We make her feel safe, powerful, untouchable. People get sloppy when they think they've won. I stared at the documents. Thought about Gregory writing this will. Planning for my protection even after his death. He'd known what Sienna was. He'd tried to save me from it. There's a risk, Patricia said. If we wait, if we let her keep the estate temporarily, she could liquidate assets, move money offshore. By the time we trigger the clause, there might be nothing left to recover. Can she do that legally? As the current beneficiary, she has significant control. Gregory's company is the main asset, worth approximately $173 million. She's already on the board. If she pushes for a sale, the other board members might agree. Tech companies get bought out all the time. I thought about the house, about 42 years of memories packed into 30 days, about sleeping on Evelyn's couch while Sienna redecorated my son's childhood bedroom. What would you do? I asked. If you were me? Patricia was quiet for a long moment. Honestly? I'd burn it all down. I'd go public. File charges, damn the consequences. But I'm not you. I don't have grandchildren who need their grandmother. I don't have to weigh justice against family. Emma, Tyler, their faces in my mind. Tyler showing me rocks. Emma holding my hand at the grocery store. How long would we have to wait? For her to slip up publicly? Hard to say. But I have an idea that might speed things up. I'm listening. Patricia pulled out her phone, showed me a social media post from Sienna's account. A photo of her at a charity gala, smiling, wearing a dress that cost more than my car. The caption read, "Honoring Gregory's legacy by supporting the Toledo Children's Hospital. He always believed in giving back." She's positioning herself as Gregory's grieving widow, Patricia said, the devoted wife carrying on his philanthropic work. It's good PR, makes her look sympathetic. So, we encourage that. We let her believe that public sympathy is her shield. We wait for the moment when she feels secure enough to show her true colors in front of witnesses. What kind of moment? A public event. Something where the family dynamic would naturally come up. Where people would expect to see you, and your absence would be notable. Understanding dawned. You want me to show up somewhere she doesn't expect me? Not quite. I want you to accept an invitation she extends. An olive branch. A reconciliation attempt that she'll make because it looks good publicly. And then, when she's surrounded by witnesses, cameras, donors, board members, when she has everything to lose, we let her show everyone who she really is. She won't invite me anywhere. She will if we give her a reason. If we make her think that a public reconciliation would benefit her image, make her think you're broken, defeated, willing to accept scraps in exchange for access to your grandchildren. My stomach turned. You want me to beg. I want you to pretend to beg. There's a difference. I looked at the documents spread across the desk. Evidence of murder, evidence of fraud, evidence of a woman who'd stolen my son's life and his fortune, and was now stealing my grandchildren. If I do this, I said slowly, if I play the broken old woman, I need a guarantee. I need to know that when this is over, I'll get Emma and Tyler back. That they'll know the truth. I can't guarantee that, but I can tell you that right now, you have no access to them at all. This way, at least you have a chance. A chance. That's all I'd ever had. A chance at a better life when I married Robert. A chance at stability when Gregory's company succeeded. A chance at peace when Robert died and left me the house. Chances were all you got. What you did with them was up to you. Tell me what to do, I said. Patricia opened her laptop, started typing. First, you're going to write Sienna a letter. Not through me, personally. You're going to apologize for the misunderstanding. Tell her you were overcome with grief, that you're not thinking clearly. Tell her you want to respect Gregory's wishes, and you hope, in time, you can maintain a relationship with your grandchildren. She'll never believe that. She'll want to believe it, because right now you're a problem, a legal threat, an emotional liability. But if you become a non-threat, a sad old woman who just wants to see her grandkids occasionally, Then you're manageable, controllable. She can parade you out when it benefits her and ignore you when it doesn't. And when she invites me to something, you go. You're gracious. You're grateful. You let her humiliate you in small ways. Let her think she's won. And when the time is right, when she's comfortable and careless, she'll make a mistake. She'll say something or do something that violates the conditional clause in front of people who matter. And then we pull the trigger. I thought about my mother. About the years she'd served coffee to men who grabbed her and called her names. About the time she'd smiled and said, "Thank you," when they tipped her $1 on a $40 check. About the strength it took to endure humiliation and keep fighting. How soon do I send the letter? Today. I'll help you draft it. We'll make it perfect. Pathetic enough to convince her, but not so pathetic it seems fake. And the house? The eviction? We let it happen. You move out. Find an apartment. Show her you're complying. Show her you're no threat. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger exactly. Something calmer. Something patient. All right, I said. Let's do it. Patricia nodded. Started typing. One more thing, Cheryl. Once we start this, we can't stop halfway. If you break character, if you fight back too soon, she'll know something's wrong. Can you do that? Can you let her win, temporarily, for the chance to destroy her completely? I thought about Gregory's letter. Don't trust Sienna. I thought about the conditional clause, my son's final gift, his last attempt to protect me. Yes, I said, I can do that. We spent 2 hours drafting the letter, every word chosen carefully, every sentence designed to seem genuine. By the time we finished, it read like surrender. Dear Sienna, I want to apologize for the distress I've caused. Losing Gregory has been devastating, and I'm afraid I let my grief cloud my judgment. You're right. Gregory made his wishes clear, and I should respect them. I don't want to fight anymore. I just want peace. And if possible, I'd like to maintain some connection with Emma and Tyler. I know I have no right to ask, but they're my only link to Gregory now. I miss them terribly. Please know that I harbor no ill will toward you. You made my son happy, and that's what matters. With sincere apologies, Cheryl. Patricia printed it. Put it in an envelope. Mail this Monday. Give it 3 days to reach her. By Thursday, I bet she responds. And if she doesn't? Then we try something else. But she will. This letter is exactly what she wants to hear. Proof that you're beaten. I took the envelope, stood to leave. Cheryl, Patricia said, for what it's worth, I think Gregory would be proud of you. I didn't answer. Didn't trust my voice. Downstairs, Evelyn was waiting in the car. Everything okay? She asked. Yes, I said. Everything's going to be fine. I mailed the letter Monday morning. By Thursday afternoon, Sienna called. Sienna's voice on the phone had been warm, almost friendly. Cheryl, I got your letter. I'm so glad you reached out. This has been hard on all of us. I'd gripped the phone tighter, kept my voice small. I just miss the kids. I know you do. Listen, I'm hosting a dinner next Saturday. Small gathering. Some of Gregory's business associates, a few board members. I think it would be nice if you came. Show everyone that we're family, that we're moving forward together. Really? You'd want me there? Of course. You're Emma and Tyler's grandmother. That matters. A pause. The kids miss you too. They keep asking when they'll see Grandma again. My chest tightened. How are they? They're adjusting. It's been hard, but kids are resilient. Tyler's doing well in school. Emma made honor roll. I closed my eyes. Imagine Tyler with his rocks, Emma with her books. I'd love to come to dinner. Perfect. It's at 7, business casual. I'll text you the address. Sienna, thank you for giving me another chance. We're family, Cheryl. That's what Gregory would have wanted. She hung up. I sat on Evelyn's couch and stared at the phone. Patricia had been right. Sienna wanted a reconciliation she could control. A tamed grandmother she could display when convenient. I called Patricia. She invited me to dinner. Next Saturday. Good. This is what we need. Who else will be there? Business associates, board members. Perfect. Witnesses who matter. People whose opinions affect her standing. She'll want to look magnanimous. The gracious widow extending forgiveness. What do I do? You accept every insult gracefully, every condescension, every small cruelty. Let her feel powerful. Let her get comfortable. And at some point, she'll push too far. She won't be able to help herself. And if she doesn't, she will. Bullies always do. I bought a dress at Goodwill. Navy blue, slightly too big. $12. Evelyn loaned me her car. Said she hoped I knew what I was doing. Said Marcus had called her, warning her that I was unstable, that I needed professional help. I didn't tell her about the USB drive. Didn't tell her about Patricia. Let her believe what she wanted. The dinner was at Gregory's house, my son's house. The one he'd bought 6 years ago when the company went public. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a kitchen with marble countertops. I'd helped him pick out paint colors, held Emma as a baby in the upstairs nursery. Now Sienna had changed everything. The paint was different, beige instead of blue. The furniture was modern, sharp edges and cold metal. None of the warmth Gregory had wanted. I parked on the street, walked up the driveway, rang the doorbell like a stranger. Sienna answered. She wore cream-colored silk. Her hair was perfect. She smiled and kissed my cheek. Cheryl, so glad you could make it. Thank you for inviting me. She led me inside. The living room was full of people. 15, maybe 20. Expensive suits and cocktail dresses, wine glasses and hors d'oeuvres on silver trays. Everyone, Sienna said, raising her voice slightly. I'd like you to meet Gregory's mother, Cheryl. She's joining us tonight. Polite smiles, a few nods, most of them returned to their conversations. Marcus stood by the fireplace. He saw me and went pale, started walking toward the kitchen, but Sienna caught his arm. Marcus, come say hello to your mother. He had no choice. Not in front of all these people. He walked over. Mom. Marcus. Sienna watched us. Isn't this nice? Family together again? Where are Emma and Tyler? I asked. Upstairs. I thought it best they eat separately tonight. This is really more of an adult gathering. But you can see them before you leave. I promised. Like I was being granted a favor. Like my own grandchildren were a reward for good behavior. That would be wonderful. Thank you. Dinner was in the formal dining room. 20-place settings, crystal and china. I was seated at the far end of the table, across from a woman who introduced herself as Jennifer Hartwell. She was on the board of Gregory's company. You must be so proud, Jennifer said. Gregory built something remarkable. He did. He worked very hard. And Sienna's doing a wonderful job continuing his legacy. We're all so impressed with her vision for the company. That's nice to hear. Sienna sat at the head of the table. Marcus on her right. A man I didn't recognize on her left. Philip Marsh, I realized. The consultant. The lover. He looked older in person. Mid-50s. Gray at the temples. They laughed at something he said. Her hand rested on his arm just a moment too long. I ate quietly. Answered questions when asked. Smiled when appropriate. Played the part Patricia had helped me rehearse. The grateful mother-in-law. The tamed threat. Halfway through dinner, Sienna stood, tapped her wine glass with a fork. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. These past few months have been incredibly difficult. Losing Gregory was devastating. But I'm grateful for the support of friends and family as we navigate this transition. She gestured toward me. Especially Cheryl, Gregory's mother. We've had some misunderstandings, some difficult moments. But I'm glad we're putting that behind us. Family is what matters. That's what Gregory believed, and that's what I believe. Everyone looked at me, expectant, waiting for me to speak. I stood. My hands shook slightly. I steadied them on the table. Thank you, Sienna. You've been very generous. I know Gregory loved you very much, and I'm grateful you're letting me be part of Emma and Tyler's lives. It was exactly what she wanted to hear. Submission, gratitude, acknowledgement of her power. She smiled. Of course. You'll always have a place at our table, Cheryl, as long as you respect the boundaries Gregory set. There it was, the barb hidden in the kindness, the reminder that I existed at her pleasure. I sat down, felt 20 pairs of eyes on me, felt my face burn with humiliation. Jennifer Hartwell leaned over. That was gracious of her. After everything? After everything? I asked. Well, you know, The legal disputes. Marcus told us you'd been quite upset about the will. So Marcus had been telling stories, painting me as the problem, the difficult mother who couldn't accept her son's wishes. I was grieving, I said softly. I wasn't thinking clearly. Of course, it's understandable. Dessert was chocolate mousse, expensive, the kind Gregory had always loved. I took small bites and thought about my son at 12, eating ice cream sandwiches at our kitchen table, before the money, before Sienna, when he was just my boy. After dinner, people moved to the living room, coffee and cordials. I stood near the window, trying to be invisible, trying to survive until I could see Emma and Tyler and leave. Sienna found me. Cheryl, can we talk? Privately? She led me to Gregory's study, closed the door. The room smelled like his cologne. He'd kept it in the desk drawer. I used to buy it for him every Christmas. $78 a bottle at Macy's. I want to be clear about something, Sienna said. Her voice was different now, harder. The warmth from earlier was gone. Tonight was about appearances. Those people out there needed to see that we're a united front, that there's no family drama that might affect the company. I understand. Do you? Because I got a very interesting call from my lawyer yesterday. Apparently, you've been asking questions, requesting documents from the estate, through some attorney in Toledo. My stomach dropped. Patricia had filed discovery requests, routine procedure for a will contest, but we'd been so careful. I hired a lawyer to help me understand the probate process. That's all. That's not all. You're looking for something, some way to challenge the will. Sienna stepped closer. Let me save you the trouble. There's nothing to find. Gregory's wishes were clear. The will is airtight. And if you continue down this path, I will make sure you never see Emma or Tyler again. Do you understand? I'm not trying to challenge anything. I just wanted to— You wanted to what? Steal from me? Take what Gregory gave me freely? Take what I earned by loving him? By standing by him? Her voice rose, anger breaking through the careful facade. This was what Patricia had predicted. The mask slipping. You didn't love him, I said quietly. You used him. I made him happy, more than you ever did. Do you know what he told me about you? About how you suffocated him? How you made everything about your sacrifices? How exhausting it was always owing you? The words hit like fists, each one designed to hurt, each one probably half true. Gregory and I had struggled sometimes. What parent and child didn't? He loved you, Sienna continued, but he pitied you too. The poor widow with nothing. The mother who gave everything and expected gratitude in return. He provided for you out of obligation, not love. That's not true, isn't it? Then why did he leave you $5, Cheryl? Why not nothing at all? Because $5 was his final message. You're worth exactly that much to me. Coffee money, spare change. My vision blurred, not with tears, with fury. Did Gregory know? I asked. About Philip Marsh? About your affair? She went still. What? Did he know you were sleeping with his business consultant? Planning to sell his company? Or did he die still believing you loved him? Color drained from her face, then rushed back, red and blotchy. You have no idea what you're talking about. I have emails, evidence, dates, places, everything. You're bluffing. Am I? The door opened. Marcus stood there. He'd heard. His face said he'd heard everything. Marcus, Sienna said, recovering, smiling. Your mother is making wild accusations. I think maybe she's not well. Marcus looked at her, then at me. Mom, is it true? About the affair? Yes. She's lying, Sienna said. She's desperate. She'll say anything. I have proof, I said. Gregory documented everything. He knew what she was. He knew she killed him. Killed? Marcus's voice cracked. What are you talking about? She and Philip Marsh planned it. The accident wasn't an accident. They needed Gregory dead to get the company. That's insane, Sienna said. But her voice shook. Marcus, don't listen to her. She's delusional. Marcus stared at Sienna, really looked at her, maybe for the first time. You promised to pay my debts. $78,000. Where did that money come from, Sienna? From the estate. From what Gregory left me. Gregory's company hasn't distributed dividends yet. The estate is still in probate. So where did you get $78,000 in cash? Sienna said nothing. Oh my God, Marcus whispered. You sold something. Something from the estate, before it was even settled. I did what I had to do to protect Gregory's legacy, to keep this family together. You paid me to lie. You paid me to betray my mother. I paid you because you're weak. Because you needed money and I had it. That's how the world works, Marcus. People do what they're paid to do. The contempt in her voice was clear. No more pretense. No more manipulation. Just raw disdain. Marcus looked at me. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Not here, I said. We'll talk later. I walked out of the study, through the living room where people were still drinking coffee and talking about quarterly projections. Out the front door into the cold night. Behind me, I heard Marcus following. Mom, wait. Please. I stopped at the end of the driveway, turned. You chose her over me. You lied in court. You cost me my home and my grandchildren. I know I did. His voice broke. But I didn't know about the affair, about Gregory. I swear I didn't know she killed him. Would it have mattered? If you'd known? He was quiet. Go back inside, Marcus. Go collect your money. That's what you're here for, isn't it? I don't want her money. Not anymore. I want to fix this. Tell me how to fix this. I thought about Patricia's plan, about the conditional clause, about everything Gregory had set in motion to protect me. You can't fix it, I said. But you can help me finish it. How? Did anyone else hear what she said? About the $5? About Gregory pitying me? Philip Marsh was standing in the hallway. Jennifer Hartwell came up behind me. They heard some of it. Good. I pulled out my phone. Texted Patricia. She broke. Multiple witnesses. Ready to proceed. The response came immediately. I'll file tomorrow. It's over. I looked at Marcus. Your brother left me a gift, a way to protect myself from her, and you're going to help me use it. Whatever you need, anything. I need you to testify about the money she paid you, about the lies she told you to tell, about everything. He nodded. Okay, yes, I'll do it. I didn't forgive him. Forgiveness would take years, if it came at all, but I could use him. That would have to be enough. Come to Patricia Chen's office Monday morning, 9 o'clock. Bring every document, every text message, every piece of evidence you have. I will. I got in Evelyn's car and drove away. Didn't look back at the house. Didn't think about Emma and Tyler upstairs, waiting for a grandmother who never came. They'd understand someday, when they were older, when Sienna's lies couldn't touch them anymore. Tonight, I'd done what I came to do. I'd let Sienna show everyone who she really was, and tomorrow I'd take everything back. The hearing took place on a Tuesday morning in December, 3 weeks after the dinner party. 3 weeks of depositions and statements and evidence compiled in manila folders. Judge Kowalski's courtroom again. Different purpose this time. Patricia had filed an emergency motion to invalidate the fraudulent will and enforce Gregory's original testament. She'd attached 47 pages of evidence, bank records, emails, witness statements from Jennifer Hartwell, Philip Marsh's assistant, and 3 other dinner guests who'd heard Sienna's outburst. Marcus's testimony had been the linchpin. He'd described the bribe, the $78,000 paid from an offshore account, the instructions to lie in court, the promises Sienna had made and broken. Sienna sat with Mitchell Carver, her cream silk replaced by black wool, her hair still perfect, but her face drawn. She'd aged 10 years in 3 weeks. Philip Marsh wasn't there. He'd disappeared the day after the dinner party. His consulting firm released a statement about personal leave. His wife filed for divorce. Judge Kowalski reviewed the documents for 20 minutes. The courtroom was silent except for the rustle of paper and the hum of the heating system. Finally, he looked up. Mrs. Vale, did you pay Marcus Benson $78,000 in exchange for testimony against his mother? Sienna glanced at Carver. He nodded slightly. I provided financial assistance to a family member during a difficult time, she said. That's not illegal. Did you provide that assistance before or after he agreed to testify on your behalf? Silence. Before or after, Mrs. Vale? After. And the source of those funds? My personal savings. Patricia stood. Your Honor, if I may. The account from which the payment originated was opened on October 3rd of this year, 1 week after Gregory Benson's death. The initial deposit of $500,000 came from the liquidation of stock holdings in Benson Technologies, stock that was part of the estate. "That's a lie," Sienna said, her voice sharp. Too sharp. "Those were my shares. Gregory gave them to me." "There's no record of such a gift," Patricia said. "No transfer documents, no tax filings, but there is a record of unauthorized access to estate assets during probate, which is a felony." Judge Kowalski's expression darkened. "Mrs. Vale, did you liquidate estate assets without court approval?" I needed operating capital for the business. Gregory would have wanted what Gregory wanted is documented in his original will, dated March 15, 2024, a will that was suppressed and replaced with a fraudulent document. The judge picked up a paper from the stack. "This court has reviewed the evidence presented by Mrs. Chen. The original will bears Gregory Benson's genuine signature, witnessed and notarized. The secondary will, read by Attorney Whitmore, contains irregularities consistent with forgery." Sienna went pale. "Furthermore, the conditional clause in the original will has been triggered. Mrs. Cheryl Benson has demonstrated material disrespect, financial manipulation, and deliberate isolation by the secondary beneficiary. Multiple witnesses have testified to public humiliation and verbal abuse." He set the paper down, looked directly at Sienna. "This court hereby invalidates the will dated June 2024 and reinstates the original testament. The estate distribution is as follows: 80% to Cheryl Annette Benson, 15% to be held in trust for the minor children, Emma and Tyler Benson, 5% to Marcus Benson, 0% to Sienna Vale." The words hung in the air, 0%. "Additionally," Judge Kowalski continued, "all property seized from Mrs. Benson, including the residence at 847 Oakmont Drive, reverts to her ownership immediately. The restraining order is vacated. Custody of the minor children will be determined in a separate family court proceeding, but given the evidence of fraud and manipulation, this court recommends primary custody be awarded to the maternal grandmother." Sienna made a sound, half gasp, half sob. "Mrs. Vale, you are ordered to vacate all properties belonging to the Benson estate within 30 days. You are also subject to criminal investigation for estate fraud, perjury, and embezzlement. This hearing is adjourned." The gavel came down. I sat very still. 80% of $196 million. That was $156,800,000, plus the house, plus custody of Emma and Tyler. Everything I'd lost, everything Sienna had stolen, returned. Patricia touched my arm. "Cheryl, we won." I looked at Sienna. She was crying, mascara running down her face. Mitchell Carver was packing his briefcase, his expression carefully neutral. Already distancing himself from the sinking ship, Marcus stood near the back of the courtroom. He'd testified yesterday, spent 4 hours answering Patricia's questions and another 3 under cross-examination from Carver. He'd held up, told the truth, done what I'd asked. He met my eyes, smiled hesitantly. I didn't smile back. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited. News crews, cameras, someone had leaked the story. Tech widow loses fortune in estate fraud case. I'd seen the headlines online that morning. Patricia handled them. Made a brief statement about justice being served and family healing. Refused further questions. I walked to my car, the Camry I'd been living out of for the past 2 weeks. Evelyn had asked me to leave after Thanksgiving. Said Bill was uncomfortable with the situation. Said maybe it was best if I found other arrangements. I'd spent the first week sleeping in the car outside a Walmart parking lot, the second week in a $40 a night motel on Route 20. The bathroom had mold and the heat barely worked, but it was better than the car. Now I could go home. The house on Oakmont Drive, the one Robert and I had bought in 1982, the one we'd raised our sons in, the one I'd lost and now reclaimed. I drove there directly. Didn't call ahead, didn't warn anyone. Sienna's Mercedes was in the driveway. Moving trucks were already there. She'd probably called them from the courthouse. I parked on the street, walked up the driveway I'd walked 10,000 times before. The front door was unlocked. Inside, movers were boxing things, Sienna's things, the modern furniture, the abstract art, all of it being loaded into trucks. "Ma'am," one of the movers said, "you can't be here. This is a private residence." "It's my residence," I said. "I'm Cheryl Benson. I own this house." He looked uncertain, pulled out his phone, started to dial. "She's telling the truth," Sienna said from the stairs. She was carrying a box. Her face was blotchy from crying. "This is her house. I'm the one who doesn't belong here." The movers resumed working. Sienna came down the stairs, set the box on the floor. "Where are Emma and Tyler?" I asked. "At school. I'll pick them up at 3. "No, I'll pick them up. You can say goodbye to them tonight. Supervised. And then you're done. They're my children. They're Gregory's children. You're just the woman who manipulated their father and stole their inheritance." She flinched. "I loved him. Whatever you think, I did love Gregory. You loved his money. There's a difference. You don't understand. Philip and it wasn't about the money, it was—" "I don't care," I said. "I don't care about your affair or your excuses or whatever story you've told yourself to justify murder. All I care about is that you're gone and Emma and Tyler are safe." "I didn't kill him. The accident was real." "I didn't. The police are investigating. If you're innocent, you'll be cleared. If you're not, you'll go to prison. Either way, you're out of my family's life." I walked past her, up the stairs, down the hallway to Emma's room. The door was closed. I opened it. The walls were lavender. Emma had picked the color when she was 8, had insisted on helping paint, got more paint on herself than the walls. I'd taken photos, sent them to Gregory. He'd framed one and kept it in his office. The room was mostly packed, boxes stacked against the wall. But Emma's bookshelf was still full. Her rock collection from Tyler still sat on the windowsill, little pieces of childhood not yet erased. I sat on her bed, felt the weight of everything settle on my shoulders. 6 months ago, I'd been invisible, erased, worth $5 to my own son. Now I had more money than I could spend in 3 lifetimes. Had my house back, had custody of my grandchildren. But Gregory was still dead. Marcus had still betrayed me. Sienna had still taken 3 years of my son's life with lies and manipulation. The money couldn't fix that. The house couldn't fix that. Nothing could. I heard footsteps on the stairs. Marcus appeared in the doorway. "Mom, I wanted to check on you. I'm fine. Are you? Because you just got your life back and you look like you're at a funeral." I looked at him, really looked at him. 38 years old, my younger son, the one who'd always struggled, always compared himself to Gregory and found himself wanting. "I don't forgive you," I said. "I want you to know that. What you did, testifying against me, lying in court, I don't forgive that. I know. But you helped me in the end. You testified. You brought evidence. That matters. So what does that mean? For us?" I thought about it. About the years ahead. About Emma and Tyler growing up. About family dinners and holidays and birthdays. It means you can see your nephew and niece. It means we can be civil. But it doesn't mean we're close. It doesn't mean I trust you. You'll have to earn that back, if you ever can. He nodded slowly. That's fair. That's more than fair. The 5% Gregory left you, that's about $9,800,000. You'll get it once the estate settles. Use it wisely. Don't waste it. Don't let anyone manipulate you with it. I won't. I promise. Promises don't mean much anymore, Marcus. Actions mean something. Promises are just words. He left. I heard him talking to Sienna downstairs. Heard the movers loading trucks. Heard all the sounds of a life being dismantled and removed. At 2:30, I drove to Emma's school. Waited in the parking lot with the other parents and grandparents and nannies. Watched the doors. At 3 o'clock, the children poured out. Backpacks and lunchboxes and the chaos of elementary school dismissal. I saw Emma first, 11 years old, dark hair like Gregory. She was talking to a friend, laughing. Then Tyler, 8 years old, Robert's nose. Gregory's eyes. He was carrying a rock in his hand, showing it to a boy walking beside him. I got out of the car, walked toward them. Emma saw me first. She stopped. Her face went from confusion to disbelief to joy in the space of 3 seconds. "Grandma?" "Hi, sweetheart." She ran, dropped her backpack. threw her arms around me and held on tight. Tyler followed, crashed into both of us. "Grandma, you're here. Sienna said you were sick. She said we couldn't see you." I wasn't sick. There was a misunderstanding, but it's fixed now. Everything's fixed. "Can we go to your house? Can we have cookies? We can do whatever you want." Emma pulled back, looked at me with Gregory's eyes. "Are you staying this time? Or are you going to leave again?" The question hurt. She was 11, old enough to remember the months I'd been gone, old enough to feel abandoned. "I'm staying," I said. "I promise. I'm not going anywhere ever again." "Promises don't mean anything," she said. "Sienna promised my dad would be okay. She promised everything would be fine." "You're right. Promises are just words, but I can show you. Every day. I can show you that I'm here, that I'm not leaving. Would that be enough?" She thought about it, then nodded. "Okay, but I'm watching you." "That's fair." We drove home, to the house on Oakmont Drive. The moving trucks were gone. Sienna's Mercedes was gone. The house was empty, except for the furniture that had always been there. The couch Robert and I bought in 1985. The kitchen table where the boys did homework. The pieces of our life that Sienna couldn't take. Emma and Tyler ran upstairs, checking their rooms, making sure everything was still there. I stood in the kitchen, looked at the counter where I'd prepared thousands of meals, at the window where I'd watched my sons play in the backyard. My phone buzzed. Text from Patricia. "Criminal investigation opened. Fraud charges filed. It'll take time, but they'll build the case." Another text came through, this one from the bank. "Estate distribution approved. Funds available January 15th. $156,800,000. I'd never worried about money again. Never struggle with rent or groceries or choosing between heat and electricity. Emma came downstairs. "Grandma, can we order pizza?" Sienna never let us have pizza. "We can have whatever you want. Can we have it every night?" I smiled. "Maybe not every night, but tonight? Absolutely." Tyler appeared with his rock collection. 47 specimens. "Grandma, look, I got 3 new ones. This one's quartz. This one's—" "Show me," I said. "Show me all of them." We sat on the floor. Tyler explained each rock. Emma ordered pizza on her phone. The house slowly filled with the sounds of children, of life, of family. Later, after the pizza and after bedtime, I sat alone in the living room. The house was quiet. Outside, snow was starting to fall. The first snow of winter. I thought about Gregory, about the USB drive and the conditional clause and the plan he'd made to protect me, about how well he'd known his wife, how carefully he'd prepared for the worst. I'd never know if the accident was really murder. The police might never prove it. Philip Marsh had vanished. Sienna's lawyers would fight every charge. The truth might stay buried forever. But I had Emma and Tyler. I had my home. I had justice. Even if it wasn't complete, that would have to be enough. My phone buzzed one more time. Text from Marcus. "Thank you for giving me a chance. I won't waste it." I didn't respond. Words were cheap. Actions mattered. Maybe someday I'd trust him again. Maybe someday we'd be close. But today, I was just grateful for the silence, for the empty rooms slowly filling back up with life, for the chance to be a grandmother again, for the freedom to start over. I turned off my phone, walked upstairs, checked on Emma and Tyler. They were both asleep, Tyler hugging a stuffed dinosaur, Emma with a book on her chest. I stood in the doorway and watched them breathe. Tomorrow, there would be lawyers and paperwork and criminal investigations. There would be questions from the press and stares from neighbors and whispers about the woman who'd taken down her daughter-in-law. But tonight, I was just Grandma. Just Cheryl, the woman who'd survived, the woman who'd won. I closed their door softly and went to my own room. The room I'd shared with Robert. The room where I'd grieved and planned and refused to give up. I lay down in my own bed for the first time in 6 months and slept.